So this is the self-development with tactics book. So, this episode is going to be all about stumbling upon happiness or unhappiness. I don't actually know. But we're going to see after the intro, and it's probably there in the title, and also if you're on the podcast, there in the title of the episode as well. But yeah, anyway, we're going to go ahead. It's going to be an amazing episode, I at least hope. And, fuck. Yeah. And that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. I'm super duper happy to be here, and I'm super duper happy to talk about what I'm going to talk about today, because I believe that there's also going to be something that's pretty valuable in here. So it's, first of all, it's hopefully going to be cool and interesting and multiple other things. And second of all, it's hopefully also going to be like a little bit entertaining, I at least hope, by just being who I am. Which, by the way, is actually, I think, a good tactic, just being who you are and acting like you normally do anyway, I think is a good thing to do. But yeah, anyway, as you can actually see it. Cool thing. As you can see, there is where we have stopped yesterday, so it's approximately a quarter of the whole thing, as you can maybe indicate by or see because of the scroll wheel on the side of the whole thing. So yeah, we're gonna see. Numfell. It is possible, at least for some of the people, some of the time, to be happy, sad, bored, or curious and not know it. Probably, yeah. Even though, like, it is such a fucked up thing to say. But of course, like, I mean, of course, like, there's probably a lot of days where you also feel like, well, I don't really know what I'm feeling. I don't really know what's going on. And all those things, like, there's got to be just some multiple things, and there's got to be just some various things in this sense or in this way as well. And yeah, totally. Our brain offers us an interpretation of the way things are. Interpretations, not reality. Because those interpretations are usually so good, we do not realize that we are seeing an interpretation. Instead, we feel as though we are sitting comfortably inside our heads, looking out through the clear glass shields of our eyes, watching the world as it really is. We forget that our brains are talented forgers, waving a tapestry of memory and perception, whose detail is so compelling that its inauthenticity is rarely detected. The mistake we make when we unthinkingly accept the validity of our memories and perceptions is the same mistake we make when we imagine our future. We don't know, and we can't be sure if things are going to be like this in the future, things are going to be like that in the future. We just motherfucking don't know. I think a huge point, actually, even though, like, this is, I mean, of course, I don't really know if this is scientific. I know the person that wrote this book is, I think, a Harvard professor or Stanford, something like that, So he definitely knows what he's talking about. And I think, I remember this correctly, he's also a psychology professor. And I do believe that there's also something, that this thing also has something to do with just philosophical thoughts, because we somehow have to explain things in some way, I guess. Seeing in time is like seeing in space. When things are far away in space, they are vague and lacking in detail. We do not mistakenly conclude that the faraway thing is vague and lacking in detail. But when we remember imagine a distant in time event, our brains seem to overlook the fact that details vanish, and we conclude that the distant events are as vague as we are imagining and remembering them. For example, have you ever wondered why you often make commitments that you deeply regret when the moment to fulfill them arrives? Yeah, because we're super fucking positive when it is about the future. When we said yes, we were thinking in terms of why instead of how, in terms of causes of consequences instead of execution, and we failed to consider the fact that a detail-free event we were imagining would not be the detail-laden event we would actually experience. Doing something next month is an act of love, whereas doing it right now is an act of lunch. Yeah, we are just indeed, and this is something that I've heard like before, I guess. I don't know where. There's so many different things that I'm somehow consuming, whether it is actually book summaries or book notes things, whether it is actual videos and some shit, and I often just don't know where I am having information from. Which on one hand is like, I don't care, because, I really actually don't care about a lot of things. On the other hand, it is like, would be nice if I would be able to just give it to the people and be like, well, this is where my information comes from. This is my source, Actually, pretty often important thing sometimes, I would consider, and I would say, and whatnot. When volunteers are asked to imagine a good day, they imagine a greater variety of events. If the good day is tomorrow, then if the good day is a year later. Tomorrow is imagined in considerable detail as a mix of good stuff and unpleasant stuff. Or unpleasant? No, it's unpleasant, isn't it? A good day a year later is imagined as a smooth puree of happy episodes. It's a smooth puree. When asked, they think that mental images of the near and far futures are equally realistic. Yeah, I would say so. Like, even, I mean, we could say, or I could say that it is the case because we don't really know how the far future is gonna be like, and therefore we are just also not having so much detail in how we think about things. But I mean, you could also just try it out. Just pause the video for a second and try it out. Maybe you can see this as well, even though, like, of course, if you just know about it, then it's probably gonna be like some sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy then, which is then like pretty unnecessary to do shit then. But yeah, curiosity. People giving boring quiz asked what? People given boring quiz asked beforehand, well, really important beforehand, if they would prefer a candy bar at the end or to know the answers. Everyone predicted they would want the candy bar, but after the test, even though the questions were trite, people chose to know the answer over the candy bar. Like a mystery novel couldn't stand not knowing. Yes, I mean, I don't know, like I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go for the candy bar just because I don't eat any candy, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting thing that we kind of think. I mean, in general, we always think we are so fucking rational, like, so we are so super duper rational. At least some people think that, but we are really not. Like, there's just because of the fact, as he also pointed out, that when we are seeing things, we are not actually seeing just the world per se, or the world as it actually is, but only we are seeing the world through our tinted glasses, you know, tinted by our brains, which just makes the whole reality not the reality, but somehow of a perception, some interpretation, as he also says, and whatnot. So yeah, we're not really rational. So, but I think even though, like, I do still wonder if it is actually everyone, because I mean they say like everyone predicted they would want the candy bar, so they predicted it. They didn't really say it, kinda. So it's. Oh, I think it's because of the question they asked probably. But yeah, anyway, let's move on, you know? Let's move on. I think it is actually, by the way, a pretty cool book and a pretty interesting one as well, because there is various different thoughts, I would say, that I wouldn't think about, which is always a nice thing, which is always a good thing, to just think about things you wouldn't normally just think about, I guess. Some sort of, I would say, my love. Pre-feeling allowed non-thinkers to predict their future satisfaction more accurately than thinkers did. When people are prevented from feeling emotion in the present, they become temporarily unable to predict how they will feel in the future. What is pre-feeling? Is it like just feeling like you are gonna be feeling or some shit? I don't know, but it's also something pretty interesting. I mean, I do believe that our feelings in general have a pretty huge role in our life, and that it is in general something that's relatively important for us, just because I think also they in a book pointed out, as far as I can remember. Well, you know, once again, I don't know where I'm having the information from, but I think this was also stated in the book that, or was it? Yeah, I think it's about fears, anxiety, emotions, and all these things. These things and these factors and these parameters, they show us some things, and whether it is something good or whether it is something bad, I think we just need it. You know, I think it is something pretty important to navigate through the world in a hopefully relatively proper way, I would say, because it's feedback, I guess, you know. And if just, I don't know, if you notice that nobody likes you, then you're probably going to change something up, and this is maybe shown to you first of all by other people. But if you don't get it, you know, which is just kind of the case, or can be the case, then of course, like, your feelings are gonna be like, maybe you should do something about it, you know. You're feeling bad right now, motherfucker, and so think about why you're feeling bad, or something like that, you know. It's a little bit strange, actually, to think about feelings like just people being in your head and stuff. But yeah, when we asked our brains to look at real object and an imaginary object at the same time, our brains choose the real object. Objects. Eyes open and looking at something overrides imagining something. Eyes open and looking at something overrides imagining something. When we try to ignore our current gloomy state and make a forecast about how we will feel tomorrow, we'll find it is a lot like trying to imagine a taste of marshmallow while chewing liver. Yes, indeed. And I think this is, this might also be one of the the main reasons why it is actually something that's quite not working when you're, for example, not feeling good, and maybe even feeling really terrible to imagine yourself feeling good in the future once again, because you're in a specific state at this point in time, and so it's way harder to imagine being in another state in the future. You know, of course, we might know that doing this and that and these and those might lead us to the state, but imagining that you are going to be in the state, I've actually never thought about it in that way, and it kind of really makes sense for me, at least. I hope it just also somehow makes sense for you. But I mean, like that, saying like, just feel good, you know, just see the positive stuff, you know, just imagine something positive to happen. Like, no, it's not gonna happen, motherfucker, if you're just really fucking depressed. Quite. I hope you're not, by the way. I hope you're well off and feeling good. It is only natural that we should imagine the future and then consider how doing so makes us feel, but because our brains are hell-bent on responding to current events, we mistakenly conclude that we will feel tomorrow as we feel today. Yeah, probably. I've actually also had that yesterday, because yesterday in the evening I wasn't feeling that well because I felt really unproductive, and also I've been wasting quite a bit of time yesterday, which was something that really pissed me off, like really, because I do not want to waste time. Even though, like, there's then multiple ways you can think about it and get yourself into the right quote-unquote mindset. I hate that word, by the way, because it's so obvious. Like, everyone uses it and shit, and like, nah, I'm not gonna use it, motherfucker. I'm not gonna use it, bitch. Well, anyway. Volunteers in a no variety group were more satisfied than volunteers in the variety group. Variety made people less happy and not more. But what no variety? Is it no variety in people or no variety in just things you're surrounded by? Wonderful things are especially wonderful the first time they happen, yes, indeed. But their wonderfulness wanes with repetition. Think about the first time your love said, I love you, versus the 100th time. Yes, indeed. And even though, like, I would actually say that there's still going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, no, it doesn't feel like it once felt, you know, when you say love, I love you, and things are going down and everything is bad and our relationship is fucked and stuff. And I mean, I think this somehow indicates that it is just what it is, and that it also kind of makes sense. I mean, like, if of course, I mean, the first time you jumped out of a plane, it's probably been like just really an enormous and crazy thing to do, but the 100th time is gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking jump out of the plane. And then it's quite it for what I'm doing today. So I don't know, like, I think it is normal. I assume it is normal somehow. Oh, time and variety are two ways to avoid habituation. And if you have one, then you don't need the other. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, if you're having a lot of variety, if you're doing just multiple things, and I don't know if you're gonna get into so many habits if you constantly do something else. Like, there's no way. When episodes are sufficiently separated in time, variety is not only unnecessary, it can actually be costly. When episodes are sufficiently separated in time, variety is... does it mean if I, for example, do something today and the next time I'm gonna do it is gonna be like 100 years from now? Or no, let's just not be so unrealistic actually. But maybe in 3 weeks or something, so which is some time, it's not too much time, but it is some time. Then of course, like, going back to the point before, like, there's not gonna be any habit because there is no consequence. Sequence of me doing it over and over and over again, but it's rather like I'm doing it this or just at this point in time, then at that point in time and whatnot. So there's not really like a sequence there. But on the other hand, is it then unnecessary to have variety, or can it be costly? But costly in what sense? Like, I think this is kind of a good point to just see that if you're having an summary or an article and it's not really the whole book, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult sometimes to just see what it is really all about. So therefore, if you've seen an article, or if you've seen just something else, then and you like it, then I think it also makes sense to kind of read the book as such then as well, or listen to the whole audiobook or whatever it might be, whatever is working for you actually. Yes. But I do still believe that if you just read the summary before, or just a book notes article, or just a review or something, that it could maybe give you an idea. It just still depends on the source, of course, whether you like this piece or not, you know, because I mean, it's still money. It really is still money, not gonna lie. Starting points have a profound impact on ending points. Starting points matter because we often end up close to where we started. When people predict future feelings by imagining a future event as though it were happening in the present and then correcting for the event's actual location time, they make the same error. Yeah, you know, I mean, like, we sometimes start things because we're not feeling good, and then we end things because they make us not feel good. So yeah. I think it's the same thing, you know. I think it's just what it is sometimes. People prefer to have a job that pays 30k, then 40k, and then 50k, rather than a job that earns 60k, then 50k, and then 40k, even though the latter wouldn't earn more money. And I do just think about a reason why this could be the case. And I think about it because I would also pick the first one. Maybe it's because even though, like, how should I know? How should I know that in the future I'm gonna get that? You know, actually, in fact, this is like kind of a really bad answer. To be like, well, I would like to have 30k, then 40k, then 50k, and then it's quiet. You know, I mean, when it is about retiring and stuff, then yeah, maybe. You know, in this sense, it kind of makes sense, maybe. But how should I really know if I'm gonna get the 50k per month or per year, whatever? I think it's per year. I think it is per year. How should I know? But if I'm just already starting with 60k, then of course, I mean, it could also go down to just 5k or something, you know. Even though, like, what are the chances, you know, what are the possibilities there? You know, is the chance pretty high? Is the possibility pretty high that this is going to be the case? I don't think so, you know, but it's, you know, it depends on the industry. If the industry goes down and everything's fucked, then yeah, maybe. We don't think in absolute dollars, we think of relative dollars. We would drive across town to save $50 on a $100 radio, but not save $50 on a $100,000 car. Yes, indeed, this is definitely the case, because the relation is like, I mean, the first one is kind of the half of it, and the other one is like, I don't know, a 50th of it or something, or 25th, or a 200th, something like that, or 20th. What's 50 times 20? No, I think it's a 200th, isn't it? 200. No, it's even a 2000. It's a 2000th of it. I mean, like, kind of makes sense. Like, I understand it. Like, I get it, you know? But on the flip side, it is like, fucked up quite. If you ask someone to pay an unrealistic large cost, could you commit to coming to our rally every weekend this summer? Yes, this is definitely a pretty large cost, I guess. And assume before asking them to pay a small amount, okay, then could you at least contribute $20? They're much more likely to agree to pay the small cost after having contemplated the large one, in part because doing so makes the small cost seem to be bearable. Yes, indeed, it is something that I've heard before. But I think in another context. It might have been in the context of, if somebody said yes, then the chance that the person is going to say yes once again is much higher. And I think it also is like, okay, if this person said like yes 20 times to your questions, then the next question is even more like, compared to when a person said like 5 times yes before or something like that, which I think have tried out, even though like, it actually lets me cringe so fucking much thinking about it. It's been actually for our religion, the subject in school, and yes, we're having that. And I don't actually, by the way, know if this is a novelty, like if people not have religion as a subject in school. I do think that there is, of course, going to be countries, but I don't know the amount of them, and I don't know the countries as such as well. But what I did was, I went around and asked people for the time, I guess. I wasn't quite sure. And afterwards, I asked them to, I think, or was it? Or I asked them for the wages. At first, I asked them for the time, then for the way, or some shit like that. Or, which might, I think this has been another experiment. Like, I've been coming up to people and asked them if they want to have a cent. 1 cent, if they want to have it. Then I've actually asked people if they want to have a euro or something, or even 2 euros. And I thought, like, yeah, they'll probably just want that. But they don't. They really don't. I wanted to give them my fucking money, but they didn't want to have any money. I mean, of course, like, it's $2. Like, it's not a huge amount of money. It's not, you know, it's not a significant amount, but still, like, just free money, motherfucker. Even though I think I would have also said, like, no, thank you, I'm fine, I'm not doing that. So yeah. Even though I gotta have to say, like, for me, $2 is just quite something. Like, I know that I could just buy myself quite some food. It depends on what it is. But for example, if we talk about oats normally cost around 50 cents, 55 cents. It's just 4 packages of oats, which is 4 times 2. 8 days of, is it? Do I eat so much of it? I just eat half of it a day, which is 250 grams per day, which by the way is quite a lot, to really be honest. Since it's like, I think 50 grams per 100 grams, which makes it at least 125 grams or something, which is quite something, but yeah, this is what I do. But yeah, which is 8 days of food for me, 8 days of my evening meal, my dinner, because I most often have my oats not in the morning because I'm not eating anything in the morning, but I'm gonna have them in the evening because this is what I do, and it is what is working for me quite fine. Yeah, I think this is, I by the way have to market it, tap motherfrickers. Maybe I actually should also say frick, just because I can then say, okay, my content is like kids friendly and stuff. I might try it out. I don't know if this is kind of freaking good for me, even though like it kind of sounds so fucking stupid. Like, it really kind of does, even though like I'm actually kind of fear that in my A levels, in my oral yeah, of course, yeah, we're not having them any longer because of COVID-19 and stuff. So yeah, there's nothing to be worried about. Kind of because I was worried about just using too many swear words in my exam, actually in my oral exam, which I think would have not been that of a good thing. I don't think so, because I mean, like, I've actually also asked like teachers of mine, and they said like it's not that big of a deal. Kind of like, it still depends. I mean, if you just constantly say fuck and the fucking whore and some shit, they're of course gonna say something. They're of course gonna be like, well, what the fuck are you talking about, you motherfucker? And then they bang you in the ass or some shit, or not. Well, anyway. I think I got an anti-episode. I've forgotten about something. Ich habe was vergessen an meiner Quiddum. I forgot about the question of the day. The question of the day is, are you happy? Or have I actually asked it yesterday as well? I think I have. I think just reframing it once again. Maybe I'm just gonna take this approach. Do you really think that rationally and stuff about the future and about the present as you think you do? And or are you just maybe too optimistic in the future? By the way, I love optimism. I think it is just a major and important thing to be optimistic and stuff, but not delusional. Yeah, let's actually go for that, I guess. Do you believe that you could be better in that sense? That you could be just, since you now know that all these stuff, all the things that I've been talking about there, does this change anything? This is a question right now, But yeah, anyway, I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered. This basically means your legacy basically means just being a nice person, then being remembered as a nice person. And yeah, with being said as well, 3 other questions. By the way, I've looked it up yesterday and I've kind of just given wrong information, I guess. When you're just doing it like this, as far as I remember, this is not English, but it is rather, I think, Asian, I guess. But I'm not sure. Whereas, if I'm doing it like this is European. It's clearly European. But if I'm doing it like this, with the index finger being the first number, middle finger being the second one, and the ring finger being the third one, this is English or American. Like, they're gonna do it like this. They're not doing 3 like this. Because this is reserved for the 5th one, as far as I remember, because 5 is this one, even though, like, there's many different things, especially, I think, in the Asian areas where you're having, like, I hope I remember correctly, I think they even started with this one, at least, like, this is 8 or some shit, because it's an L, so I remember, might be a word or some shit, I don't know, then this is 10 something. Even though you could also be like this 10, even though, I mean, like, if somebody asks you, like, how many beans do you want to have? And you do like this 10, please. I don't know. It's a little bit strange, to be honest. It's more like, just go away, please, from me, of me, in me, not in me. But yeah, I, by the way, wonder whether I'm able to end the episode somewhere or not. But in the meantime, I'm gonna drink some of the, is there actually an expiration? Is it expiration? Yeah, I think it's actually exploration or something similar, at least. But they say it goes extinct. It's not good after the 3rd of December 2020. Simply fresh flowers. And there's a lot of bullshit in there. And it's probably also not good for the environment, I guess. Oh, I can do something right now. Bye-bye. I wish you the best, like, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much for being here. Spending some time with me, going through this with me. And I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. So bye-bye. And really thank you. Thank you once again. Like, it really means a lot to me.